Hello, my dear students. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm very delighted to have you here. So today's discussion is going to be one of the most important discussion in your journey of UPSC preparation, because today we are going to discuss that why we should opt for history optional. There is a long list of optionals that are available in UPSC main syllabus, and you are having the freedom to choose any of these optionals. And now I will answer today that why history optional is the best choice among all optionals. Okay, so be ready, be prepared to get the answer of this question. But before I will start the discussion, I will make a very important announcement for you, and that is we are going to launch our history optional course from 1st June 2025 at the most affordable prices of 5999. So you can avail this opportunity. That is the most affordable fee for the history optional, and we are going to make the quality classes uh, available to the students at the most affordable prices. You can watch our other YouTube videos so that you can get this idea that we don't compromise with the quality at this most affordable fee. So let's start the discussion now, that why history optional is the best choice among all optionals. So there are so many criterias that helps us in taking this decision. I will discuss about all those criterias, but before this I will answer one basic question, that all of us are connected with history. All of us have interest and curiosity to know about history and historical facts. Do you realize this fact? Do you also find interest in knowing the history and the historical events and the personalities? The answer is yes. But many a times you will find the people saying that history appears boring. They don't like history. But why you don't like history? Why you don't have interest in history? You don't introspect this thing. When you will introspect, you will find that history is one of the most popular issue of debates and discussions among the common masses. We all are connected with the events of history. History is very important in our life also. And we all know that why history is important. Okay, I will enter that portion. But before this statement of Francis Bacon said that history make men wise. Now, how history make men wise? I'm going to answer this question, that why history make men wise. Okay, a generation which ignores history has no past and has no future. And if you want to understand today, you will have to search yesterday. It means if we want to make our lives better in future, we will have to explore our past. And all of you are familiar that how the personalities of history, the events from history, how the past history or the ancient Indian has been glorified nowadays. It has been an important political discourse also. Okay, apart from the social and religious discourses, today we see that there are a lot of discourses going on in the society that are related to history. And often whenever we are using some social networking sites, or we are having discussion with some of our friends and relatives, you will find that you are also discussing the events of history. But the question is that what is your source of getting the historical information? For example, let's take this example, that if someone is discussing about Alauddin Khilji, so what is the source of historical information of that particular person, and how you are going to respond about that? Some people are discussing about Akbar, some people are discussing about Indus Valley civilization, Vedic culture. Okay, so there are so many things. And in Bollywood also, you will find there is a long list of movies in which history and the historical themes and personalities have been discussed. So first I will answer this question, then I will explain the basic criteria which are helpful to choose history as the optional subject, which criteria we should keep it in mind. But first we will try to get this answer, that why history is very important subject for UPSC aspirant, why history is very much important subject for the undergraduate students, and not only the students, but history is an important subject to know for all of us. And if we know the history in a proper manner, we will be able to make informed choices in our society. We will be the informed citizens. Okay, and in that case we will be able to make our opinion. Okay, so we know that one of the most dangerous menace of 21st century is misinformation and disinformation. So if you will have a proper and accurate knowledge of history, so you will not be trapped in that propaganda. So now we are going to discuss that particular thing. But before this, let's look at these images. This is Mohenjo-daro film. Obviously, the film has a historical sense or the theme, Mohenjo-daro. In the same way, this story, basically this is a Indian historical fiction television series, Arambh Kahani Dev Sena ki, and here what has been discussed. Okay, so here the background is set in ancient India and the decline of Indus Valley civilization in the beginning of Vedic age. And epic and stories are given in this series. In the same way, Ramayana and Mahabharata, these are one of the most popular epics of this time. Okay, we all know this. Ashoka, okay, the role was played by Shah Rukh Khan. This was also one of the most popular movie. This movie in which Ranveer Singh is playing the role of Alauddin Khilji in the film Padmavat is was also one of the most debated film of that time. Umrao Jan, Jodha Akbar. You might have watched these movies. Mughal Azam, we all know this is a classical movie. Then Razia Sultan. There are so many movies. Okay, the list is unending. This is Humayun. Okay, then these are the movies, for example, based on the lives of Gandhi, Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So there is a long list of movies, not only in Bollywood but in Hollywood also. You will find that. Okay, from themes of world history, many films have been made by the film directors. Obviously, they are using the themes of history, and we also have debates and discussions about history. So it's not possible to discuss each and every film. It is not possible to discuss each and every underlying theme of all the films. So I'm going to choose one particular theme, that is Alauddin Khilji, so that you could understand that why knowing history and the historical information in the proper and accurate manner is one of the most important tasks or duty of the students. So Alauddin Khilji. Now, when I say Alauddin Khilji, so which information strikes your mind? Just wait for 30 seconds and think. Whenever I am saying Alauddin Khilji as a ruler, as a ruler of Khilji dynasty in Delhi Sultanate period, what are the informations that have floated in your mind, that have struck your mind? You will find that if you are not a student of history, so your informations, your knowledge is guided by fictional Bollywood stories. Your knowledge is guided by the content that is circulated on WhatsApp, Facebook, and other social networking sites, and that's not a proper and accurate knowledge. So, history is basically a very careful task of analyzing the past. For example, as a student of history optional, when you will read Alauddin Khilji, you will come across multiple perspectives about Alauddin Khilji. This is the most basic advantage of reading history. If you're not a student of history, so your thought, your opinion is guided by the Bollywood fictional stories. When I will say Alauddin Khilji, so Ranveer Singh will strike in your mind. Take the stories of Ranveer Singh as Alauddin Khilji will strike your mind. But when you will read history, you will come to know that the history is studied in a very careful manner. For example, we are taking this personality, Alauddin Khilji. Now, Sultan Alauddin Khilji, all of you are familiar about this. Many of the people who are watching these videos, their informations about Alauddin Khilji are based on hearsay. Their informations about Alauddin Khilji is based on the fictional stories of Bollywood movies. And we all know that many a times films, many a times, they also become a medium to promote misinformation and disinformation. But a careful study of history, or a student of history, or the student who is doing a serious study of history, he will do a careful examination. For example, if you want to know about the personality of Alauddin Khilji, you will do a careful examination. And how you are going to do this careful examination? For this, you will try to explore all the contemporary writers, you will try to explore all the early writers, and you will try to draw a picture of Sultan Alauddin Khilji that will be based on true and accepted facts. I never say that our history is an absolute reality, but we are close to reality when we try to get the answer by absorbing multiple perspectives. We all know that among Muslims during the Delhi Sultanate rule, during the Mughal period, the leadership has been shared by two heads, or you can say that two group of heads. Okay, this is a theme of history, that what we see, that the leadership had been shared by two group of people, and these two group of people, one you can say was the temporal head of the state, one was the temporal head of the state, and the second was a spiritual head. So the leadership was shared by these two groups of people, temporal and spiritual head. This is the point. Your leadership has been shared. Now, what I mean to say here is that who is temporal head? Okay, so the answer, Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin Khilji was the temporal head. Now, who are the spiritual head? So we can easily give this answer, that here we can take example of Sheikh Nizamuddin Aulia. So here we are taking the example of Sheikh Nizamuddin Aulia. Why I am taking the example of Sheikh Nizamuddin Aulia? The answer is both of them were contemporary. The answer is what? Both of them were contemporary. Alauddin Khilji and Nizamuddin Aulia, both of them were contemporary. And you will be surprised to know that leaders of both these groups, it means the ruler Alauddin Khilji and the spiritual head, that is Sheikh Nizamuddin Aulia, they had their own courts, they had their own courtiers, they had their own court historians, and they were supported by a large number of followers in society according to your own status in the society. So what could be the possibility? This is political authority. Temporal head is what? Political authority. Spiritual head is what? Religious authority. So what could be the possibilities? There could be two possibilities. One possibility is that these two heads could be rival groups, or the second possibility is that this might be possible that there will be friendly relations between these two groups. These are two possibilities, that they could be rival groups and there could be a friendly relation between these two groups. Okay, there's a single possibility. Now, there is another example. All of you are familiar with the name of Amir Khushro. There is another name, Amir Hassan Sizzi. So I think that Amir Khushro is the popular name. So all of you are familiar with the name of Amir Khushro. All of you are familiar with the name of Amir Khushro. In the same way, there is another name, that is Amir Hassan Sizzi. Why I am writing these two names? Because these two people were the court poets of Alauddin Khilji. It means they were the court poets of Alauddin Khilji, and at the same time they are also known for their devotion to Nizamuddin Aulia. So these two people are also known for their devotion to Nizamuddin Aulia. It means they maintained good relations with both these two heads, temporal heads and spiritual heads. So in this case, what will happen? These two scholars, Amir Khushro and Amir Hassan Sizzi, are enjoying position, patronage and popularity at both the places. One is where? In the palace, because they are the court poets, and the second is in the Khanakah. Okay, Khanakah, Khanakah, related to Sufi saint or the spiritual leaders. So they are gaining what? Patronage at both these places. Now they are well familiar with the day-to-day administration during the Alauddin Khilji times. So obviously, when Amir Khushro will write some books, like Amir Khushro wrote two popular books. The name of one book is Khazainul Futuh. This was written by Amir Khushro. So Amir Khushro wrote one popular book, and that is Khazainul Futuh. In the same way, he also wrote Ashika. It's also called Ishkia. Ashika or Ishkia. So Amir Khushro wrote Khazainul Futuh and Asika or Ishkia. So what Amir Khushro will do? It's a possibility that Amir Khushro will give references about Alauddin Khilji. It is a possibility that Amir Khushro will give references about the character of Alauddin Khilji. It is a possibility that Alauddin Khilji will give the references about the military achievements of Alauddin Khilji. This is a possibility. So, this is one source where we are exploring what Amir Hassan Sizizi has written about Alauddin Khilji. The next popular name during the Alauddin Khilji was Ziauddin Barni. You all know this name, Ziauddin Barni, popularly known as Barni, right? And he was also a contemporary of Sultan Alauddin Khilji. He was also a contemporary of Sultan Alauddin Khilji. And he wrote a book, and the name of that book was Tarikh-e Firoz Shahi. Tarikh-e Firoz Shahi was the book written by Ziauddin Barni. Okay, Tarikh-e Firoz Shahi. And in this book, which Ziauddin Barni writes, he writes that I have written truthfully and honestly, and this history is worthy of credence. This was written by Ziauddin Barni. But what Ziauddin Barni did? He painted Alauddin Khilji in black. It means in a negative picture. So when you will read about Ziauddin Barni, Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi, you will find that Barni's personal likes and dislikes are very much strong. You will find that Barni also writes about Firoz Shah Tughlaq. And when Barni writes about Alauddin Khilji, when Barni writes about Firoz Shah Tughlaq, so for Barni, Firoz Shah Tughlaq was an ideal ruler. For Ziauddin Barni, Firoz Shah Tughlaq was an ideal ruler. For Barni, Alauddin Khilji, he painted Alauddin Khilji in black. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was an ideal ruler. But when you will read history, every student of history knows that Alauddin Khilji and Firoz Shah Tughlaq both were poles apart from each other. We all know about the orthodoxy of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, Sikandar Lodi. So both were poles apart from each other. It means when we will try to explore Barni, what Barni has written about Alauddin Khilji, we will get some idea about the personality of Alauddin Khilji. In the same way, there is another writer, that is Isami, and Isami is also contemporary of Alauddin Khilji. And Isami wrote a popular book, and the name of that book was Futuh-us Salatin. This was the popular book written by Isami, Futuh-us Salatin. Now, this book also is an important source of historical information for the medieval India up to 1349 AD. So what we see that here Isami also writes his opinion, what he see, his account, his tarikh means history was written. But when we'll read as a student of history, we will find that even the statements of Isami are also not completely free from exaggerations. Okay, so we can further scrutinize his statements also as a student of history. So if we want to know about Alauddin Khilji, so here what we are doing, we are exploring all the contemporary writers, and on the basis of that we are trying to make our opinion. Now there is another group of texts that we can take help here to estimate the personality of Alauddin Khilji, and that is these spiritual leaders and their disciples. Okay, since they were closely connected with the court affairs also, so what they will do, they will also write their experiences. Their disciples will do what? Okay, they will collect the sayings, discourses and informations that were shared by these Sufi saints. Okay, because they were contemporary to the popular rulers. So what they will do, they will also compose some texts, and in history they are known as Malfuzat texts. Okay, it simply means what? The collections or sayings of the spiritual head, Sufi saints, that were further collected by their disciples. It is known as Malfuzat texts. Clear? So Malfuzat texts. So these Malfuzat texts will also prove to be an important source of historical information. So as a serious student of history, okay, these Malfuzat texts are also indispensable historical resources and they cannot be ignored. So, what I mean to say that if we want to make an idea about Alauddin Khilji, so we are doing a careful study of all the contemporary and the early writers, what they wrote about Alauddin Khilji. So we are exploring the primary sources here. Now what comes? The secondary sources. Secondary sources. So you will come across the name of many historians. Okay. For example, you will come across the name of historian, that is Ishwari Prasad. Ishwari Prasad. He also writes about Alauddin Khilji. Okay. And Wolseley Higg, he also write about Alauddin Khilji, Cambridge History of India. So Wolseley Higg, okay, he is also an historian and he also writes about Alauddin Khilji. He also writes about Alauddin Khilji. So how are they portraying Alauddin Khilji? So there are multiple perspectives. First, we have discussed from the perspective of the Malfuzat text, the perspective of the contemporary writers like Amir Khushro, like Ziauddin Burni, like Esami. And then there is another important historian, and the name of this historian is Satish Chandra. Satish Chandra. So what Satish Chandra writes about Alauddin Khilji? So when you will read these two historians, okay, so they have done what? They have villainized Alauddin Khilji. Okay, this is the point. They will write about the military achievements of Alauddin Khilji and everything about Alauddin Khilji, but at the same time, they are doing what? They are villainizing Alauddin Khilji. But what we see when Satish Chandra writes history in the last video, relevance of NCRT, that video, I discussed about these things that Satish Chandra, history book, NCRT book, and the history book written by Satish Chandra are very much important because Satish Chandra does what? He rejects the communal historiography. He rejects the Muslim tyranny theory. So when Satish Chandra will write his history, he will try to present a balanced and analytical perspective, balanced and analytical perspective that will be inclusive in nature, okay, and he will portray Alauddin Khilji obviously as a powerful and ambitious ruler, but at the same time he also portrayed Alauddin Khilji as a pragmatic and capable ruler. It means he is not only portraying Alauddin Khilji in black, but he is also trying to write the merits or the achievements of Alauddin Khilji. Satish Chandra acknowledges that Alauddin Khilji was a ambitious ruler, was a powerful ruler. Satish Chandra also acknowledges that Alauddin Khilji implemented several administrative reforms, several military reforms, several economic reforms. He was successful in doing military expansion of his empire. He was successful in consolidation of his empire. He was successful in fighting successful wars with the Mongols. And he successfully centralized the political authority and he also tried to curb the autonomy of the powerful nobles in the court. And at the same time, he also introduced economic reforms. He introduced price control measures, and that was one of the most unique experiment in the medieval economic policy. That market regulation system, market control system that was introduced by Alauddin Khilji was the most unique feature. Okay, his revenue and agrarian policies, he will write that they were very rigorous, increase the taxes and the agricultural goods. Okay, burden on peasants, this happened. Okay, the rule was autocratic, or here Alauddin Khilji was an authoritarian ruler. Okay, but Alauddin Khilji did not adopt the policy of religious persecution as the state policy. This is what Satish Chandra writes. Alauddin Khilji did not adopt the policy of religious prosecution as state policy. He also accepts, Satish Chandra also accepts that when Alauddin Khilji does military campaigns, it involved destruction and looting. But the most the priority of Alauddin Khilji was to consolidate his power. Religious matters were never the priority of Alauddin Khilji. It means Satish Chandra is presenting a balanced approach and is projecting Alauddin Khilji as a pragmatic and capable ruler whose policies were, okay, geared towards strengthening the Sultanate. His reforms were significant but often harsh. They were aimed to brought stability to the empire. This is the idea presented by Satish Chandra. I am not entering into very much detail. I will release another video that will be based on Alauddin Khilji and his policies. But here, I mean to say only one thing, that as a student of, for example, if you are not a student of history, suppose you are not a student of history, so your opinions or the informations that you are gathering will largely be based on fictional elements, based on films, okay, based on the informations that are circulated on social networking sites. And we all know that many of these informations are either misinformation or disinformation, and this misinformation and disinformation is one of the most dangerous potential threat of this century. But now, when we read as a student of history, so we are familiar with multiple perspectives, perspectives of the contemporary writers, perspectives of the early historians, perspectives of the most popular historians, and finally we are able to have our own opinion regarding the estimate of personality of any ruler. So obviously this will make us wise. So reading history makes us wise. There is no any doubt in this. Plus one more thing that I want to explain here is that when you are reading history at the same time, there is a significant overlap of history with the GS paper. I am talking about GS mains, and I'm also talking about prelims. For example, whatever I have discussed here, whenever you are reading optional or whenever you are reading history as a subject, you will find so many prelims question that will appear during the classes. For example, this is one prelims question. Alauddin Khilji and Nizamuddin Aulia, they were contemporary. This is a prelims question that has been asked by UPSC. Okay, so look at the PYQs and you will get this question, right? The another question about Amir Khushro. The books that were written by Amir Khushro again has been asked in your prelims examination. Khazainul Futuh and Ashika, right? Khazainul Futuh and Ashika. This question, this historian, Asami, has also been asked in UPSC, right? So we see what, that when we are preparing for a history optional, at the same time we are getting a significant, okay, questions for our prelims exam also. So this is true. When you read history, your ideas, your opinions will be matured opinions. Your decisions will be informed decisions. Okay. And films are very strong medium to promote the narratives. But if the citizens will be aware about the historical developments, they will not fall victim to these narratives. Okay. So these manufactured narratives are basically trying to snatch away our analytical ability. Okay. So when we read history, our analytical ability gets more and more better. So if this thought strikes in your mind that I'm not interested in history, this is not true. Each and every day you are encountering history, right? Each and every day. For example, recently there was a stampede in Prayagraj, okay, and the occasion was Mahakumbh. So this Mahakumbh was what? Obviously, it is a religious fair that has been held here for the from the centuries, Harshvardhana times. Okay, so they each and every day we are getting encounter with the historical facts, historical informations, and we cannot deny this. Okay, so this we should keep it in mind, that history is following us, and we should know history if we want to make our future better. So that is why studying history is one of the most important thing that will make us more wise. If you want to understand the soul of India, Bharat, so in that case you will have to know the history. Then you will come to know that why secularism is one of the features in basic doctrines of our constitution. Why secularism is one of the most important feature. Why India is a multicultural state? Because this is inherent in Indian culture. Secularist, okay, India as a secular nation, it was introduced in constitution later, but it is inherent, okay, in the soul of India, okay. So that is one of the most important point here that we should understand. So reading history is very much important. Otherwise, okay, जब भी आप अलाउद्दीन खिलजी के बारे में सोचोगे तो आपको कौन याद आएगा? रणबीर सिंह, ठीक है. So that's why I say that reading history is very much important for each and every student. Okay, now we are coming to the point. And what was the point that we are discussing? That now, what are the key criteria while choosing the optional subject? So one of the key criteria is your interest in the subject. Obviously, all of us are interested in the events of history. So this is one of the key criteria, that are you interested in the subject? The answer is yes. Interest in the subject, that is the most important and key criteria, your interest in the subject. Are you curious to know about your history? Are you curious to know about the civilizations that developed in India? Are you curious to know about the development of science and technology in India? Are you curious to know about the caste system in India? How these varnas evolved, how these caste system evolved. Okay, different. You want to know about the different religions of India. You want to know about the administrative policies that were followed by the states in ancient India, in medieval India. You want to know about the important personalities in the history. Okay, so we all want to know. We cannot deny this fact, because very often we are engaged in historical debates and arguments. So that is one of the most important criteria, and we all are interested and we all are curious to know the events of history, right? So if you will read history in a proper manner, it will not appear boring to you. So how history will not appear boring to you? I will record another lecture, but here we are focusing on the key criteria only. Now the second and the most important point here is what? The availability of study material and the guidance. So we know history subject, there are a lot of books in the market. There is availability of guidance, good guidance, and now we are offering history optional courses in the most affordable prices. Okay, so we can say that there is no any dearth of uh, study material or the guidance when it comes to the history option. For example, if you want to opt for mathematics, English literature, engineering, or the medical sciences, you will find that, okay, there are a very few people, right, who are guiding in these subjects. The number is very few. Okay, the options are very much limited. You have a very fewer option. That is the most important point. And now the third and the most important criteria is, whenever we are choosing optional, so we should take one thing into our mind, and that is overlap with the general studies paper. So when we talk about history optional, so we see it has significant overlappings with the GS paper, not only in mains but in prelims exam also. In prelims, that is, there are two papers, GS paper 1 and the second is CSAT. So here in prelims in GS paper, we see that history subject, from history subject, you can get almost 15 to 20% of prelims question from the history subject itself. So obviously this will be helpful in your prelims examination also. For example, suppose you are opting for a mathematics optional or biology optional or geology optional or anthropology optional, so, or philosophy optional. or Sanskrit optional. So this is not going to help you in your prelims examination. But history is definitely going to help you in your prelims examination. Because whenever a student starts his journey of UPSC preparation, he or she starts with the very basic foundational study of history, polity, economics, and geography. And these four things or subjects have very significant overlappings. Okay, so this answer is very clear that if we are going to opt for history, our task will become more easier because it has significant overlaps with the GS paper. Okay, now the third and the most important point here is that, okay, what is the scoring trend? What is the scoring trend and potential in the history subject? Okay, so the scoring trend and potential of history subject, okay, it is one of the most popular subject, not for the last 5 or 10 years, but for the last few decades it has been one of the most popular subject. And with a average level of preparation, with a very basic level of preparation or average level of preparation, you can easily get 50% of marks in history. It means an average student can easily get 50%. For example, history optional consists of 500 marks. Okay, so with a very basic level of preparation, you can easily get 230 to 250 marks. But if you will read in a planned way, if you'll make a good study plan, if you'll do a careful study, okay, if you will do good practice of PYQs, okay, so in that case you can easily score 300 plus. And you will find there is a long list of selected candidates and toppers also from this subject. Okay, so this is very clear that when we talk in terms of the popularity, when we talks in terms of the consistent performance of the optional subject, history optional stands much ahead than the other optional subjects. And the next important point is, whenever we are going to choose for optional subject, so one thing that we should keep it in mind is you must have seen that many students opt for humanities subject. What is the reason behind this, that the many students opt for humanities subject? The reason is that humanities subject don't require the prior knowledge or a specialization in that particular subject. For example, on one side you are opting for history, so you don't require a prior knowledge or a specialization of that subject. On other side you are going to opt for mathematics, geology, so in that case you will need a prior specialization in subject. Okay, so here the prior specialization in the subject is not required, and that's why it is equally good for humanities students and it is equally good for the science background students, engineering or medical background students. And you will find that many engineering and medical background students, okay, score good marks in history optional even if they don't have any background in history subject. And finally, your personal strength, your personal weaknesses, your personal likes and dislikes also matter. Okay, if you find that you are interested in the concepts of history, you are interested in making a comparative study in history, you are having a good memory, you are having a good conceptual clarity, so you can opt for history optional. So this will be helpful for you, right? This is going to help you in all stages of preparation. If you will read history in essay also, this is going to be helpful because writing historical perspectives, especially in the introductory part of the essay, will become more easier for the history background students. And in one of my videos that I have uploaded on YouTube, I have already discussed the detailed breakup of the syllabus, that if you will read history, how it is going to help you in the ethics paper, how it is going to help you in IR paper. Okay, so this is also one of the most important thing, and consistently history optional subject is playing good. It is giving good results, good marks consistently. The performance is consistent. There are some optional subjects whose performance is not consistent. 2 to 3 years, 4 years, they will perform good, but again you will find there is a dip in that particular subject. There are a few optional subjects where the syllabus is very much concise. For example, philosophy, anthropology, public administration, you will find that the syllabus is very concise, and the marks in these optional subjects, okay, there is a great variation. You can get excellent marks also, and there is also a chance of severe dip in the marks. Okay, so there is a risk factor involved with these optionals. But whenever you are going to opt for the subjects like history, there is no any risk factor. You are going to opt for the subject like PSIR, there is no any risk factor. You are going to opt for subject like sociology, there is no any risk factor. And literature optionals, they are also very good, there is no any risk factor. Okay, so the performance is average, the performance is consistent. PSIR, history, sociology, geography, right? You will find that these optionals gives us a very good understanding of the GS syllabus also. For example, philosophy optional, the syllabus is very much concise, and no doubt if you have opted for philosophy optional, that is going to help you a lot in your essay writing. But what is the problem? Again, risk factor. You can get even very good marks, you can get very poor marks. The performance is not very much consistent. Syllabus is concise, but the performance is not consistent. So that is the risk factor. Okay, so what we should do, we know that prelims now has become very much challenging. Okay, so you should be always ready that whenever I will get an opportunity to write the mains exam, okay, so I will do what? Okay, I will get selected in the final list, and for that, okay, if you will choose a subject that is having a consistent performance, that is a better choice, and that is also helping you in your JS preparation, so that is obviously better choice. Okay, so when we are making comparisons, we find that choosing history, choosing PSIR, choosing sociology, choosing literature as your optional subject will give you an extra edge or advantage over the other fellow UPSC aspirants, right? So this is one point that we should keep in mind. Now, there are some optionals which require good writing skills. For example, literature subject requires good writing skills. If you are good in writing skills, you can go for sociology optional. Okay, but the subjects like history, right, the subjects like PSIR, okay, here what we know that here, if we have a good understanding of the concepts, if we have practiced PYQs, so we can very comfortably write our answer. Right here, the strong writing skill is not needed. With the average writing skill, we can write good answers. So that is also very much important to know. Okay, now no any educational or background is needed here. Okay, so we see that when we read history, so we are familiar with the multiple perspectives. Okay, like Jan Deleuze says, theory of manifoldedness, I have already discussed with you in my classes, right? So in the same way, when you will become familiar with the idea of multiple perspectives, so this will make you more analytical, right? And when you will become more analytical in your approach, so this is obviously going to help you in your GS preparation as well as in your optional preparation. Okay, so there is no any doubt here. History optional is an excellent optional subject. If you like stories, if you like analysis, if you like a comparative study, if you find yourself interested in the popular debates and discussions, then you should go and opt for history optional. This will help you in your GS preparation. The performance is very consistent. There is a predictability in this optional paper. The study sources are easily available. Okay, so there is no any doubt, we can say that yes, history optional is a better choice for us. And one of the most important thing in history optional is that, okay, There are two papers in history optional, paper 1 and paper 2. In paper 1, there are two themes that we need to study. One is ancient medieval culture, and the second is medieval India. In modern, and the second paper, paper B, modern and world history. And there are four classical NCERTs that are related to these four themes, right? For example, for ancient theme, there is R.S. Sharma NCERT book. For medieval, there is Satish Chandra NCERT book. Okay. For modern, there is Bipan Chandra NCERT book. For world, there is Arjun Dev NCERT book. Okay, obviously, we need to help and supplement other sources also, but these NCERT book gives us a clear understanding of all the debates. For example, I have discussed with you Alauddin Khilji. That was not a complete discussion, only a glimpse I have given to you. But in Alauddin Khilji topic, when we are doing a critical analysis of his personality, of his achievements, you will find that the opinion of Satish Chandra is much more inclusive. And that book you will have to read in NCERT. So NCERT gives us an idea. If you have developed a good command on NCERT, so this will give you a solid base or foundation on which you can build the super structure. Okay, so that is very important point. And now what we have started in my optional program, okay, what I have done, study of plan. If you will divide your study plan of any optional in a scientific manner, the task will become more easier for you. For example, the study plan which I have designed for my optional students, here there are 3 stages in the study plan that have been designed by me. Okay, so the first stage is the foundational stage. The first stage is the foundational stage, and this foundational stage in our classroom program will cover almost 5 months of time. We are launching our batch in June. So obviously this foundational stage, okay, will cover till October, November. Okay, might be possible it will be finished in October or November. Okay, so this is a duration of almost 5 to 5.5 months. Here we see the foundational stage, and in this foundational stage I will discuss with you 4 basic NCERTs. It means our foundational program will be based on the discussion of 4 basic NCERTs. Plus, you will also get topic wise lectures here. You will also get topic wise lectures. It means I will not skip a single topic that has been given in your UPSC syllabus. We will discuss each and every topic. Okay, there are total 51 topics, right? In paper 1 and paper B, paper A and paper B, covering both these, there are total 51 topics. So I will cover each and every topic here. We will cover NCERT, we will cover each and every topic. And when I will cover these topics, these 51 topics, okay, so while discussing these 51 topics, I will take help of many other standard books, including the IGNOU material. And in a concise form, condensed form, all these information, all these 51 lectures will be taught to you, and finally your class notes will be the single study material that you will have to use, right? So a good teacher does what? A good teacher helps you in narrowing down the resources. So in foundational stage, I will narrow down the resources for you. You will read 4 basic NCERTs plus class notes. It means the resources have been narrowed down. Now there is a second stage of preparation, and that is called consolidation phase. Consolidation phase. And in this consolidation phase, this will take almost 2 months. Okay, it means that November, December or January, almost 2 months, November or January 5, or means almost 2 months we will take here. And I will cover PYQs of the last 10 to 12 years, right? PYQ of the last 10 to 12 years I will cover here, right? And covering PYQs means what? Like classes, I will discuss answer of each and every question that has been asked in the last 12 years. So that is called consolidation phase. First, in the first page, you are going to read topic wise lectures. You are going to get topic wise lectures. In the second phase, you are going to get the lectures through PYQs. And then what you will have to do? Then you will prepare for PYQs. ठीक है? इसके बाद क्या करना है? You will prepare for PYQs. And after prelims, it means between prelims and mains, there will be, between prelims and mains, there will be revision phase. That is the third phase. And in revision phase, what you are going to do? You are going to attempt 15 full length test series. Full length test series. Clear? And when you cover these three phases in any of the optional, I am not only talking about history optional. If you are reading any particular optional from any teacher, right? One question strikes our mind, that which teacher we should go for, old monk or new monk. Old monk, मैं old monk की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, teachers की बात कर रहा हूँ. तो which teacher you should opt for, old monk or new monk? So what you will have to do? If you are going to opt for old monk, तो क्या करना है? Go to market, okay, and purchase the class notes of that particular teacher who is teaching for the last 30 years, and take the syllabus of UPSC, okay, and just try to find out कि कितना topic cover किया. You will find that 40 to 50% syllabus maximum. I am saying maximum. It means old monks cover 40 to 50% of the syllabus. They skip 40 to 50% of syllabus. They don't cover 100% syllabus in the form of topic wise lectures, okay. So they will do what? They have covered only 40 to 50% of syllabus in their class notes, and remaining they will give you thousands of pages of printed booklet to read. And this will distract you, because this is not narrowing down the resources. This is what? Making the task of old monk easier. They will cover the classes in 3 months, 3.5 months, okay, and all the burden comes on the shoulder of the students. And what about PYQs? Do you think that any teacher discusses PYQs in the classes? The answer is no, okay. All these are the crucial aspects of your preparation. So whenever you are talking about any optional, these three things should be a part of your classroom program. Topic wise lectures, each and every lecture should be covered in the classes, okay. And you should do what? As a aware citizen. If you purchase some product, तो करते क्या हो? कुछ कमी होती है तो शिकायत करते हो ना. In the same way, if you are getting any product, just try to find out पूरा syllabus cover हुआ कि नहीं. All topics should be covered. Total 51 topics should be covered. And then PYQ discussion for 2 months. इसके बाद क्या करना है? अपने notes को बंद कर देना है. Now these periods, Feb, March, April, May, you will read for prelims only, and once prelims is over, you will start revising your class notes, you will start revising your PYQs, and you will start attempting the full length test series. And when you will follow this process, okay, you can easily get 300 plus marks in optional. You can easily get 300 plus marks. Many students who are watching this video who have completed their optional classes in history optional, I know that you have not covered all the PYQs. You have not practiced all the PYQs. Okay, you are dependent on some book from the market कि कहीं से एक solution booklet मिल जाए और उसको हम पढ़ लें, right? So this is the major weakness or limitation of our preparation. So if we'll make good study plan, all the optionals are good for us. A good plan or a good strategy or a good guidance, okay, makes the optional better. ठीक है? ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई ऑप्शनल बहुत टॉप का होता है और बेकार होता है. टीचर्स मेक्स इट बेटर. If you find that PSI or optional is ranking good, so there might be a reason that any teacher is doing or making honest efforts for PSI or optional. Suddenly you will find that history optional is performing very better in UPSC. It means that there is some teacher who is working very honestly to help his or her students to get excellent marks in that particular optional. Okay, so we all should be honest as a student. Okay, you should be honest. You should be honest towards your objective, towards your dream. You should make a good study plan. You should make a good guidance. Okay, and always remember that you don't have to read hundreds of books. You will have to narrow down your study material, and you will have to increase your practice, writing practice, discussion. All these are needed to excel in the optional paper. So I think that, okay, since I am teaching history optional, so obviously I will say that history optional is a good option and you should go and opt for history option. But it also is a matter of your personal likes and dislikes, right? This is not a thumb rule, and the answer is not very much objective. The answer is subjective. Okay, if you are interested in any other option, you can opt for that. But one thing should be kept in mind, that there should be a proper study plan to cover that optional paper. Otherwise, things will become more and more difficult for you. So I think that in today's session, I have addressed this answer, that why we should choose history as an optional subject. I have given the reference of Alauddin Khilji. I have not discussed the achievements and personality of Alauddin Khilji in totality, but very soon I will release a video on my YouTube channel where I will discuss Alauddin Khilji as a ruler. Okay, and that will be a complete discussion about the personality of Alauddin Khilji. So, if you want to get regular updates of our courses, if you want to get regular uh, access to our free videos or the lectures, so you will have to do what? You will have to subscribe my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks to all of you.